Good evening. We are going to touch on a subject tonight that entails basically the internal intentions in respect of the creation of the universe according to Yahweh. So, I guess this is where we begin. It'd be wise for us to take the writings for our disclosure from the divine parchments, in order that we may continue on the straight path towards the way of truth. David the psalmist said, Yahweh, thou hast been our dwelling place in all generations, before the mountains were conceived. Think about this, that David is telling us that we existed in a thought, and although there was a beginning of the Adam and the other creations when they were made, but in the mind of Yahweh there is no beginning. In shadow of this, we must think of our own mind and within our own thoughts. It seems there is no beginning or ending except with our conception in the physical and the death of our physical being. One must realize that Yahweh does not have a new thought in relation to anything new from day to day. Yahweh's framework has no beginning, at least not in thought. Although in the physical sense there is a beginning, everything that Yahweh has created is and about to create, even the glorious kingdom to come, has been planned from the everlasting, immutable mind of the Almighty. When we were in the cradle of our mother's womb, we are unaware of who she is, neither are we conscious of our Father, who, after Yahweh, is the cause of our formation. And that also applies when Adam was in Yahweh's mind. We knew nothing of him. So when Adam was made light and came to understand that he was a thought brought to light, he remained unaltered, so to speak, with this knowledge from anywhere from 3 to 6 polar years. Now we see why the earth had to be created, keeping in mind that it was the last of the physical worlds or planets to be made, making Adam much older than that of anything Yahweh thought to create and make manifest. Let me put it this way. Adam was Yahweh's first thought and was given a body of light. As Yahweh is the Alpha and the Ta, Adam is in respect the Alpha of thought, and the Alpha of the manifestation into light. Remember, before light there was nothing but Yahweh, and as David says, before the mountains were conceived. Now keep in mind that Adam is older than all the other creations in respect of his conception, and that includes our bodies of light, but all other creations are older than Adam in the physical sense. Excuse me. So, all of the creations of Yahweh were made in silence, and by a word. Yahweh brought forth Adam out of his thoughts, and formed him with his holy hands, and breathed the breath of life into him from his spirit, and Adam became a living soul, which allows us to discern between good and evil. Therefore, the moment Adam learned of Yahweh was the moment Yahweh was formed and conceived within the mind of Adam, and Adam became a temple to Yahweh his Father. As it is written, Know you not that you are the temple of Yahweh, and that the Spirit of Yahweh dwells in you? And again we can read, I will dwell in them, and I walk in them. So, what I am saying is that we pre-existed in the mind of Yahweh before we became light. And when Adam was made manifest in the form of light, Yahweh was in the midst of that light and breathed into his nostrils, or breathed into him, the breath of life. And therefore the light brought forth bodies of light, and Adam became a living soul, that is to say, spirits, of which are born in the heaven, better known as the children of light. The reason I use the word heaven in a singular sense is because at this point in time nothing else existed. Prior to the manifestation of Adam and the birth of our light, Yahweh would go about in the invisible things, finding no peace, is why we were brought into being. Now, in the Secrets of Enoch, we read in chapter 25, I commanded in the very lowest parts, that being in the saddest depths of his heart, that visible things should come down from invisible. And O'Doyle, that is the Adam in the singular, came down in very great. And I beheld him, and lo, he had a belly of great light. This belly of light is you and me, Adam in the plural, I hope you understand. And I said to him, become undone, or a reality, and O'Doyle, that being Adam, and let the visible come out of thee. And he came undone, or manifest, and a great light came out, and I was in the midst of that great light. And as there is born light from light, there came forth a great age, and showed all creation, which I had thought to create. This, now, my brothers and sisters, is the instruction of what Yahweh had us to do. And I saw that it was good, and I placed for myself a throne, or a dwelling place, and took my seat on it. And I said to the light, or the children of light, go thou up higher, and fix thyself high above the throne, and be a foundation to the highest things. And above the light, or offspring, there is nothing else. This is meaning the only thing greater than us is Yahweh. And then I bent up and looked up from my throne, or dwelling place. Have you ever thought of things in your mind and played them out as if it was real, or imagined things you would say and do? I have, and if you are a child of the Most High, you have too. Not much different with Yahweh, but a much greater scale. Now, the design of divine law and the judgments of Yahweh are the automatic results of the things which all of his offspring and creation are inherent to do, and therefore all of the conditions of the natural placement of our environment. Yahweh knew exactly the nature of the enemy even before he became our enemy, when he gave instructions. See, we need to look at the forces that are set in motion by the release of energy. The greatest power is the power of thought, and the design of the universe was put together by the mind of Yahweh. Energy gathered together are electrons and protons, or brain waves. Another word of it as synapses, in a world of material matter, or a third dimension, and therefore comes together into what we know today as the entire universe, which is all held together by the thought and mind of Yahweh. And we also played a role in this and helped to shape the substances into form. So don't keep that, don't put that on the back burner either. Keep that behind your left ear for a moment, because we were part of a formation, but we also helped create certain aspects of things that we live in now. But anyway, so let's get back to this situation here. That remember that we lived in the mind of our Father, doing just what he said for us to do. And when he formed us into the glorious light, we continued to do the things that we did in his mind, and therefore nothing you or I do is from our own thought, because Yahweh has already decided how things play out, predestined, so to speak. This may also account for why we have what is called déjà vu, meaning already seen. And if we were to break down the word, it might mean the day Yahweh made you, and is possible for why we have a strong sensation that an event or an experience currently being experienced had been experienced in the past. Now we're going to talk about Arcus. And Arcus is a particular and peculiar being. And so the next thing we need to do is consider the name Arcus. In Job chapter 38, verses 19 through 21, we read, "Where is the way where light dwells? And as for darkness, where is the place thereof? That you should take it to bound thereof, and that you should know the paths to the house thereof. You know it, because you were then born, or because the number of your days is great." I am trying to establish that we were there, and that it should be brought back to your remembrance when you have proven to Yahweh that you are capable of handling these truths. Okay, so in Job chapter 38, verse 32, it says, "Can you bring forth Mazzaroth in his season? Or can you guide Arcticus with his sons?" We have a seven-pointed star, and we know that